These utility-based ventures, such as XRP, have no real value. I have already mentioned this. In fact, I discussed it in an XRP video in which I said that the current value of XRP is completely phony. We don't know the actual worth of these projects, which is why I say that and am so adamant about it, even when it comes to ones like HBAR. We are unaware of XRP's true worth in the real world. We are aware of its usefulness. We are aware of XRP's potential size. The issue, though, is that XRP is still dependent on Bitcoin and its functions. For instance, XRP is currently trading at about $2.16 if we look at my screen. However, the price movement of this is in line with that of Bitcoin. This demonstrates that XRP functions similarly to Bitcoin, which is susceptible to manipulation by powerful actors. This indicates that the value of XRP today is fake. XRP is manipulated. Since everything is connected to Bitcoin, the majority of the space is influenced. Additionally, Bitcoin currently holds a domination of over 64%. Therefore, if banks are using XRP or all this positive stuff is occurring, why isn't XRP trading much higher when everyone is reporting that everything is fine? Well, don't blame Ripple or the underlying principles of XRP. Just attribute that to the fact that we have not yet entered a utility bull run. However, what if I told you that every day we are moving closer to that point? Regulation and legislation are catching up to this area. Additionally, utility will eventually become the value driver as institutional-grade use keeps growing and spreading. How high, though, can these projects reach? For example, where will we see XRP in a year or two? It's difficult to say, but I have repeatedly stated that XRP will have $1 trillion value. Nevertheless, many individuals find it difficult to believe me. What is the evidence for it? How can we be certain that XRP will have trillions of dollars in value? That's because Bitcoin has a market value of almost $2 trillion. You may also argue that this is insufficient evidence. However, isn't it? You can see how effective XRP is if you use the Bitcoin network. You are also aware of Bitcoin's inefficiency. Not because Bitcoin is worthless. I'm only expressing my belief that Bitcoin is overpriced. In the long run, I believe XRP will be equally as valuable as Bitcoin, if not more so. And the rationale is the combination of utility and institutional-grade adoption. Let's talk about the primary motivator, though. And the primary factor that will, in my view, greatly increase the value of many of these utility-based projects. Tokenization. Mario Nulfo just uploaded the BlackRock video once more, correct? June 1st, 2025 is the date. Tokenization of all financial assets is the way of the future, and IBC is already there, according to Larry Fink. We think that tokenizing all financial assets will be the next big technological development. This implies that all stocks, bonds, and other financial instruments will be listed on a single common ledger. We're not waiting, and we agree. More tokenized RWAs are being incubated by us than by anyone else. And we're investing in hard assets, credit, infrastructure, and yield-bearing securities. We are influencing the flow of capital compliance and custody in this multi-trillion-dollar revolution as the leading media exposure tool booth in this area. They're building the railroads. They're being laid by us. Listen, there will be more than one ledger in the case of BlackRock. As the BIS informed us, it will involve many DLTs and networks connected to a single ledger, correct? They want to do that multi-ledger initiative. That is taking place. At this point, whole asset classes begin to move up the chain. This is the beginning of Wall Street 2.0, which I have discussed with Ando as well. All of that is taking place in real time. Additionally, pay great attention to this short clip. Listen carefully to it again if you missed it in 2024. We think that tokenizing financial assets will be the next big thing. That applies to all stocks. Each bond will essentially have its own QCIP. One general ledger will have it. Each investor, including you and me, will have a unique identification number. With tokenization, we may eliminate any problems related to illegal activity with stocks, bonds, and digital assets. Most importantly, though, is that tokenization allows us to tailor techniques to each individual. Our settlement would be instantaneous. Consider all of the expenses associated with stock and bond settlement. However, since tokenization is only a line item, everything would happen instantly. Therefore, we think that this is a technical shift for financial assets. You want to discuss voting, voting choices, and everything else. Every person who owns stock can vote for their own shares if we are aware of who owns them at all times, and it is time to cast a ballot. The next phase, we think. You must now keep in mind that this is BlackRock, don't you? We understand BlackRock's size. We are already aware of it. I don't think I need to repeat it 100 times. However, the fact that this asset management firm is informing us of this indicates that it is already taking place. We are already experiencing this transformation, and that was evident to us. Correct. Additionally, $84 trillion are scheduled to be transferred, which will result in the tokenization of that sum of money as well. This is from Generation X, Y, and Z to baby boomers. This is the significant transfer of wealth. The funny thing about this is that we invested in the rails, so we are a part of this wealth transfer. I believe we have discussed the railroads. We have investigated them. Money is already beginning to be tokenized on XRP in significant quantities. With this $84 trillion on the chain, things won't end there. And Quincy was the one who wrote a fantastic post about this. According to him, the adoption of tokenizing each asset each time it is traded adds to the network's demand, as seen by the transaction volume from real-world asset tokenization. I would like all of you to comprehend this. The liquidity required from cryptocurrency as a means of payment to enable these transactions rises in tandem with its volume for the tokenized asset. This allows for value appreciation to cover the liquidity required and the ecosystem to expand with more available capital. This is, in my opinion, one of the most insightful posts about tokenization that I have ever read. Since many of them are similar to this, with BlackRock being emphasized. However, everyone is missing the fact that, for instance, it's not only about adding $100 trillion to the chain. Imagine $100 trillion in real estate that is traded around the clock, every day of the year, and that also creates entirely new markets. Not 100 trillion. Now multiply it. The true worth lies there. We heard this from a lot of people too, right? For instance, this is Jazzy Cooper in the video clip where Ripple discusses real estate on the XRP ledger. It's crucial to listen to these two clips. Therefore, I want to play them again because she says exactly what David Schwartz said in 2023. Pay great attention to the first one. It's Jazzy Cooper. Therefore, tokenization is essentially just the digital representation of an actual entity. Here, we are referring to the blockchain. Therefore, anything might be taken from the real world. Equity might be the cause. It might be anything you own. It might be a particular privilege, like as the right to vote, and it would involve transferring that off-chain entity or aspect onto the blockchain and digitally representing it. Once you know what you want to represent, you usually take that real-world entity and represent it on the blockchain using an existing standard like Ethereum and ERC20, or a fungible token on the XRP ledger that resembles an IOU. You want to do that, but why? Why tokenize something merely for the sake of tokenizing it? No one exists so successfully that you want to use it for something after tokenizing it. You wish to leverage one of the many benefits of tokenizing actual objects on the blockchain, such as sending it as money